the Scottish coastline. Jagged cliffs clawed at the sky, the North Sea roared its defiance. It was a place of raw, untamed beauty. But darkness lurked beneath the surface, a darkness that whispered on the wind. This was a place of secrets. And it was here, in the labyrinth of caves carved by the relentless sea, that the legend of Sawney Bean took root. The air itself felt heavy. It was as if the land held its breath, burdened by an unseen weight. The crash of waves against the rocks echoed like the beat of a monstrous heart. Seabirds circled overhead, their cries lost in the wind. This was a place where nature reigned supreme, and where man, it seemed, was an unwelcome guest. The caves, honeycombing the cliffs, were shrouded in perpetual twilight. They were cold, damp, and forbidding, places where the sun dared not reach. Legend had it that these caverns were home to something foul, something that preyed on the unwary, something that whispered its name on the wind. That name was Bean. Sawney Bean, a name that would become synonymous with terror. Born into poverty, his soul twisted by hardship and rejection, he sought refuge in the shadows, turning his back on the world. With him, a woman as hardened as the cliffs. Her name was Agnes, Black Agnes they called her. Together they disappeared into the network of caves. They sought shelter from humanity itself. They became one with the darkness. In isolation, a monstrous hunger began to stir. It craved something darker. Travelers vanished without a trace, whispers of a fate worse than death. The air inside the cave was thick with the stench of decay. The floor was littered with bones, picked clean and bleached white by time. Human bones. Skulls leered from crevices, their empty sockets staring into eternity. This was no ordinary dwelling, it was a charnel house, a testament to the depravity that festered within. Here Sawney and Agnes reigned over their grotesque brood, for they had not remained alone in their self-imposed exile. Over the years their family had grown, not through love but through something far more sinister. Incest and violence birthed a clan of monsters. Children raised on darkness and despair, their pale faces, twisted into permanent sneers, were a mirror to the evil that had taken root in their souls. They feasted on the flesh of their victims. Their laughter echoed through the caverns, a chilling counterpoint to the mournful sigh of the wind. They knew no remorse, no pity. They were creatures of instinct, driven by a hunger that could never be sated. And the cliffs, it seemed, whispered their approval, for the secrets of the Bean clan were safe within their cold embrace. Fear, like a shroud, settled over the villages that dotted the coastline. Travelers, once eager to share tales of their journeys, now spoke in hushed tones of the dangers that lurked beyond the hills. The disappearances continued. Men, women, children, all vanished without a trace, swallowed whole by the hungry shadows of the cliffs. The authorities were baffled. No clues, no witnesses, no trace of the missing souls. Superstition took root, tales spread of vengeful spirits and mythical beasts. The truth, far more terrifying, remained hidden in plain sight. For who could imagine such depravity? Who could conceive of a family that preyed upon its own kind? But the whispers persisted. They clung to the coast like the sea mist, carried on the wind to every corner of the land, and with each passing season, the legend of the creature that haunted the cliffs grew darker, more monstrous. It became a tale whispered around flickering campfires, a story to frighten children into obedience, and the truth, buried beneath layers of fear and folklore, became a chilling footnote in the annals of human cruelty. For 25 years the Bean clan had reigned over their macabre kingdom. 25 years of terror, their crimes hidden by the unforgiving landscape and the cloak of fear that shrouded the coast. But their reign of terror was about to end. Fate, it seemed, had other plans. One fateful night, a husband and wife, returning home from a local fair, found themselves on the lonely road that snaked along the cliffs. They rode their horse, laden with goods, their hearts light with the simple joys of the day. They were oblivious to the danger that lurked in the shadows. oblivious to the hungry eyes that watched their every move. The attack was swift and brutal. The Bean clan, their bloodlust aroused by the scent of their prey, descended upon the hapless couple. The man, caught off guard, fought back with the desperation of a cornered animal. But he was no match for the ferocity of the attackers. He fell, his cries lost in the roar of the sea. His wife, witnessing the horror unfold, screamed into the night. Her scream, carried on the wind, became a beacon of hope in the darkness. The woman's screams, though faint, reached the ears of travelers passing along the coastal road. They cautiously approached the source of the commotion. The sight that greeted them was one of unimaginable horror. The mangled body of the husband lay sprawled on the ground. The horse stood trembling, its coat flecked with blood. The woman, battered but alive, spurred them into action. Word of the attack spread, reaching King James VI of Scotland. Outraged, he vowed to bring the perpetrators to justice. He assembled a search party, armed with torches and dogs. The hunt for the Bean clan had begun. The search party, led by the king himself, scoured the coastline. They followed bloody trails that disappeared into the maze of caves. The stench of decay hung heavy in the air, a macabre guide leading them deeper into the heart of darkness. The dogs, their hackles raised, whined and snarled, sensing the presence of something sinister. The entrance to the Bean clan's lair was hidden, concealed by a curtain of tangled vines and the shadows cast by the looming cliffs. But the stench of death betrayed its location. The king and his men, their faces grim, entered the cave, torches held high, casting flickering shadows that danced upon the walls. And then they saw it. The floor of the cave was a charnel house. Bones, human bones, littered the ground. Skulls grinned back at them, their empty sockets reflecting the flickering torchlight. Dismembered limbs hung from the ceiling, gruesome trophies of a reign of terror. The air was thick with the smell of decay, a suffocating reminder of the horrors that had unfolded within those cold, damp walls. The Bean clan, caught in their lair, offered little resistance. Years of depravity had dulled their survival instincts, leaving them sluggish and disoriented. They were dragged from their cave, blinking in the unaccustomed sunlight, their faces twisted into masks of hatred and defiance. The sight of them, their clothes stained with the blood of their victims, sent a shiver of revulsion through even the most hardened of the king's men. Justice, swift and brutal, was meted out. The men of the clan were drawn and quartered, their limbs displayed as a warning to any who dared to follow in their footsteps. The women, deemed equally complicit in the horrors, were burned alive, their screams echoing across the desolate landscape. No mercy was shown, no quarter given. The reign of terror was over. The cave, its walls stained with the memories of unspeakable acts, was sealed. A silent tomb to the darkness that had festered within. The king, his face etched with the horrors he had witnessed, declared the site cursed, forbidden to all. And so it remained, a chilling monument to the depravity that can lurk within the human heart. Centuries have passed since the demise of the Bean clan. The cliffs still stand, their feet bathed by the restless sea, but the echoes of that dark chapter in Scottish history refuse to be silenced. The legend of Sawney Bean, the cannibal king, lives on, whispered in hushed tones around flickering campfires, recounted in books and ballads. The story has lost none of its power to chill the blood, to remind us of the darkness that lurks at the edges of civilization. The cave, though sealed, continues to cast a long shadow over the land, a silent sentinel guarding its gruesome secrets. Some dismiss the tale as mere folklore, a cautionary tale spun to frighten children and keep travelers on the straight and narrow, but others, those who know the land and its history, are not so quick to dismiss the legend. They point to the whispers on the wind, the shadows that seem to linger a little too long in the hollows of the cliffs. They know that some stories, no matter how horrific, refuse to be forgotten. The legend of Sawney Bean is a stark reminder of the potential for evil that resides within us all. It forces us to confront the darkest recesses of the human psyche, to acknowledge that the line between civilization and savagery is often thin and easily breached. But within this bleak narrative, there exists a glimmer of hope. For the story of Sawney Bean is also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The woman who survived the attack, who lived to tell her tale, embodies the indomitable will to survive. The king, driven by a sense of justice and a desire to protect his people, represents the power of good to triumph over even the most profound evil. The legend, for all its horror, serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope endures. That even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, the human spirit can find the strength to fight back, to seek justice, and to rebuild. It is a testament to the enduring power of good to overcome evil, however long it takes, however difficult the path. The legend of Sawney Bean transcends a mere ghost story. It serves as a lens to examine the social and cultural landscape of 16th century Scotland, highlighting disparities, traveler vulnerability, and the power of superstition. The Bean clan's evasion underscores law enforcement limitations. The remoteness and fear allowed such atrocities to occur unchecked. Our fascination with the story speaks to our need to grapple with darkness. The legend offers a glimpse into the darker side of human nature,